Hi everyone. I had planned to get the Shadow Atrium in this part so that I can eventually fight the ancient Fuelweaver. The first step to getting the Shadow Atrium is to place the marble pieces that are randomly scattered around our world onto their respective marble sculptures. Since I explored the entire map early on, I already know where the 3 marble pieces are, so all I had to do was to move them and get them in place before the next new moon, which would have been on day 161. But it's a little too late for me to get everything in place for day 161. And I'll have to wait for the next new moon on day 181 before I can get the Shadow Atrium. But I do have the option to mine the marble sculptures on a full moon. If I do it that way, they will turn into the normal clockworks, and if I kill those, they will drop sketches that I can then give to a potter's wheel. And from the potter's wheel I can craft sculptures that can also turn into Shadow Beast bosses on day 181. The next full moon was on day 171, and I was going to end this part right after I had gotten the sketches. I thought this was going to be a simple episode for me to play, but there were a few things that I did not consider that made this a lot more complicated. Although I could have simply waited for day 181 and fought the Shadow Beast bosses in their natural set piece, I wanted to use the Potter's Wheel instead. That would give me the option of choosing where I would fight them. I guess I was thinking at this point that there was a lot of time left before day 171, and I can just farm for food and other resources first. I could probably start moving the marble pieces a few days before the full moon. This is basically what my inventory looks like each winter. I'll have logs and grass to make campfires, my beefalo hat and thermal stone for insulation, armor in case I need to fight, the bee queen hat for when deer clop shows up, and I have glommer's goop. It's day 166 and I still have 5 full days more before the day of the full moon. I'm going to use a B-flow to make moving the marbles a lot faster. I just need to craft a saddle so that I can start riding one. The saddle requires 4 B-flow wool, 4 pigskin, and 4 gold to craft. I assume I don't have any B-flow wool, which is why I'm going to kill 2 of the B-flow first. Now that I made a saddle, I can use the B-flow to help me move the marbles. I had marked them earlier in the game with traps, and you can see that there are 2 right here in the swamp. The other one is a little further away in a forest near a rock biome. Beefalo have an obedience meter, and although it has a little to do with the process of domesticating a beefalo, obedience is a different mechanic. The beefalo's obedience is simply whether or not it will accept a saddle, and whether or not it will allow you to ride it. Feeding any item that a beefalo eats will increase its obedience by 10%. At 40% it will allow you to saddle it, and at above 50% it will allow you to ride. So if I feed this beefalo 10 grass, its obedience is already at 100%, and now I can saddle and ride it. You don't necessarily have to use a B-flow to transport these things. You can also just carry them. Although, if the marbles are located far away from the sculptures, it would take a very long time to move even just one of them. The B-flow does make it a lot easier. When the B-flow throws me off, it doesn't mean that obedience has dropped below 50%. In fact, obedience only drops 1% every 10 seconds. The reason the B-flow throws me off is because the current level of the B-flow's domestication will only allow me to ride it for a short period of time before it throws me off. But since the B-flow is still obedient, I can just get right back on the B-flow without feeding it again if I wanted to. But I just kept feeding it anyway to keep the obedience level up. This is where I have to bring all of the marble pieces. You can see the knight, rook, and bishop icon in the map. That is where the knight, rook, and bishop sculptures will be located. So I get the first piece to the area of the sculptures, and I realize my first problem. There are a few tier 3 spider nests in the area, and these are likely to turn into spider queens the longer I stay here. Even if I'm using the B-flow to move the marble, I still have to physically carry them to the sculptures. One spider can easily attack me while I'm carrying a marble, and cause me to drop it. This would make it difficult to get the marbles onto the sculptures. If I attack any spider, that will cause the rest of them to come after me. So I decided to just leave the marble on the floor first, grab another marble piece in the meantime, and I can come back in the morning when the spiders are not roaming around the area. I completely forgot to consider that the B-flow could go into heat. This was going to be my main problem. I do have a B-flow hat which will prevent it from attacking me, but now that the B-flow is in heat, the amount of time I can ride before it throws me off will be divided by 4. This will make the riding time very short, and I will have to pick up the marble piece and walk to the B-flow over and over again. This was going to make my only goal for this part very difficult, and I wasn't sure if I was going to make it in time anymore. I had an option here that I don't think I considered. I could look for another beefalo to use that is not in heat. This was not spring when all of the wild beefalo are constantly in heat. Beefalo from the same herd will stay in heat at the same time, but there were other herds around the map. Unfortunately, I did not consider that at the time I was playing this. What I do know is that if I tried to carry the marbles without the beefalo, there was no way I was going to make it by day 171. So I just stuck with it and hoped that there was enough time. Now though, I'm back to my original problem with the spiders. I might not have the option of getting here in the morning anymore, so if I have to place some marbles onto the sculptures during dusk or night, the spiders could be a real problem. I thought maybe there was enough time for me to clear the tier 3 nests in time, and hopefully none of them would turn into spider queens. Well, a spider queen did spawn, so I abandoned the idea of clearing the nests for now. I'm just going to have to try to place some marbles on the sculptures with the spiders roaming all over the place. I had only a little over a day at this point, and it just doesn't look possible anymore. I think I might have given up at some point here, realizing that 1. I probably don't have the time to get the third marble in place, and 2. I still haven't placed any of them onto the sculptures because of the spiders in the area. But if I wasn't going to make it by the full moon of day 171, I was at least going to clear the area of the spiders and get the pieces in place way before the new moon of day 181. But then this happens. On the day of the full moon, the beef flow returns to normal, and now there might be just enough time for me to get this done. I really have no idea what I was trying to do here. Thinking about getting this done in time, with the spiders all over the place, was causing me to panic. There just wasn't enough time to fight them, and if I attack any of them, all of them would go after me. I really was nervous at this point, and I had to calm myself down to think about what I was supposed to do. I'm still a little confused and trying to use the hammer for some reason. But at least I did the right thing in reanimating the rook before doing anything else. The rook was exactly what I needed to distract the spiders. One last clockwork to reanimate, and I can see on my map that the knight is the sculpture to my right. I dropped the knight piece pretty far away, and the full moon is nearly over. This is really close. I don't necessarily have to kill the clockworks during the full moon, I just have to animate them. Once they are alive, I can kill them in the morning, and still collect the sketches. I made it in time, but just barely. Now I can give all of the sketches to a potter's wheel and choose and prepare the area where I'll fight the Shadow Beast bosses on day 181. That's all for now, guys. In the next part I'll be getting the Shadow Atrium. Thank you for watching and I'll see you then.